All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. Well, the one thing I've learned over the years is that while a lot of people who claim to be fundamental Bible-believing Christians, Jews, Israelites, or whatever flavor that they want to tout themselves to be or put behind it, upon careful evaluation, I found out that a lot of these people are just simply very biased, put forth their opinions and their traditions above what the truth says. So religiously, they're racist, bigoted, very discriminatory, and pretty militant when it comes to truth. Because most people exalt what their religion touts and what their religion says based on the truth of what this word says. Now, the Bible says in John 8:32 that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. All right. So that means that if you don't know the truth, you're not as free as you think that you are. Well, here in this society right here is quickly changing from when I was a little boy. Morality is constantly being redefined to the point now that we live in a world to where people say that there's literally no absolutes. And of course, society in itself is picking and choosing what culture it wants to put forth and how it wants to define it. And we are constantly watching people's civil liberties as well as their religious freedoms and rights being stomped and trampled on a daily basis. Henceforth, such as this video this morning, which I'm going to go ahead and make because I know if I don't talk about it, that mainstream news media is definitely not going to give any attention to it because this is not what they want to put forth in a culture. Now, you have to understand something about Pastor Dow. All right. I am a very simple man. I really truly am. I just believe truth, no matter what that truth is. Now, that does not mean that all truth that comes my way, that I actually have a like for it. That's totally irrelevant. As a matter of fact, we're not commanded to like. We're commanded to love the truth, embrace the truth, and live the truth and do the truth on a daily basis. It's not asking for my opinion. When the Most High God created the heaven and earth, he didn't ask me for my opinion. He didn't even ask me for my input at all. As a matter of fact, I wasn't anywhere, just like you, nowhere to be found. So the truth is, our opinion is totally irrelevant. This cosmos was already in place when we came out of the matrix, our mother's womb. And we were dropped into a system. Do you understand that you would have different social values, civil values, religious values, and political values if you were born in another culture? You assume that being born here in America, that you are the sum of all wisdom and the epitome of all righteousness. One thing I've learned is that we have been trained as a people and not educated. We have been coerced and manipulated along with being drugged and tagged more than anybody in the history of mankind. They're doing everything they can to control our thoughts through advertisement, through the one-eyed monster that I call the TV set. And many of us hold very biased, bigoted, religious perspectives and point of views, and we exalt our feelings and emotions above truth. But the truth is, your feelings and emotions are totally irrelevant when it comes to truth. All right? Controversial subject here. No controversy to me whatsoever at all. In the realms of religion, Christianity or religion or Judeo-Christianity or whatever you want to flavor it or term it. Here in this world, you know what they say? They say, look at this, that wine drinking is a sin. And they will go to the end of the earth to try to prove it that it is so. No matter how much proof is sitting in front of us that Jesus turned the water into wine. No matter how much proof that they had wine throughout all of the scriptures. The one thing we need to understand is that the Bible is a Hebraic book. It is not a European book, nor does it come from European Christianity or its perspective. It comes from a Hebrew people. The people chosen by the Most High Yah, the ones that was in slavery in Egypt. When you go see those hieroglyphics, you start to see all those slaves up there. Those were the people that the Most High Yah gave these laws, rules, instructions, and guidelines to. What we have now is that they have been into so many captivities, they've been sacked by so many nations, that every nation thought, you know what, these are good principles to live by. I think that these people got it pretty much right. Matter of fact, their societal order and their judgments and their statutes a whole lot better than what we could actually come up with when ourselves. So you know what? I think we ought to adopt these practices while not abandoning and abolishing our pagan heathen worship. I think it's a good thing for us to institute some of these Hebrew laws, instructions, rules, and guidelines and morality into our culture right here. I mean, after all, it can't make us any worse than what we are now. It can only make us better. Henceforth, all cultures, be it the Babylonian cultures, the Assyrian cultures, the Medes, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Europeans, the Arabs, everybody on the face of planet Earth that pretty much have had their stake in their hand in scattering the Israelites and taking their laws, their statutes, and commandments, repackaging it, regurgitating it, and putting it into their societal order and forms, and then giving it to us, since we're in slavery, the way that they see it. Henceforth, confusion. Nothing but confusion of faces. But one thing about it, Yah is not the author of confusion. So, controversial subject. When you read the book, it's obvious. If you choose to be a student and read the book, you'll see there's no controversy in it whatsoever at all. The reason why there's controversy is because it's what you chose to feel, and you place those feelings above truth. Your emotions has run wild, and your emotions mean more than established truth. Or you have been culturally redefined to accept something as truth when it's really nothing more than tradition. The warning is beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, that mean laws, and not after Christ. And of course, that's what religion is. It's a bunch of rules and regulations that are not after Christ. Well, again, I'm going to go ahead and tackle this subject, knowing I'm running the risk of being judged unfairly by a bunch of people who definitely are not students of this word, because they have chose to accept what they believe over what the word says. But you know what? I'm here. That's the reason why we call it Straightway Truth. We're going to give you the truth and the true straight way. RT is going out on the limb again, and they're standing strong with promoting and reporting on the Sisters' Wives case. Now, the Sisters' Wives apparently is one man who is married to 4 women. Now watch this. Truthfully, he only has one legal wife. That means that he has a marriage license by the system, by the state, which the truth is, you don't need one. George Washington didn't have one. Adam didn't have one. Moses, Abraham, David, or Solomon, they never had marriage license. But the whole idea of a license is to place you, or to take you away from one authority and place you under another authority, and then thereby regulate you based on that authority that you consented to, whether you did it knowingly or unknowingly. I suggest to you that before you sign any government contract, it's important for you to maybe ask for the book that is behind the contract that is sitting in front of you. Usually only have one piece of paper sitting in front of you, but maybe you ought to ask for the book to see if you actually want to do this contract or not. Because I do submit early that if a lot of these things that government seems to be giving us, and we're signing our name on, signature, thereby signing our soul to, I submit to you that if we really truly understood the terms and conditions of this contract, chances are we wouldn't participate. And you know what? Government knows it too. That's why they have to use deception in order to confuse you and I. Well, Sisters' Wives, RT reports, polygamy lawsuit dismissed, may be appealed to Supreme Court. Isn't that something? Again, you have to understand, polygamy is the term that is commonly used today, which means multiple marriages. The right term comes from the Greek, which is polygyny, meaning this is what this man is practicing right here, Cody Brown, which is one man married to 4 wives. Again, truth is, according to the laws of this land, he's not breaking any laws whatsoever at all. I know that comes as a stark slam in the face of all the people right here that believes in monogamy. But the truth is, he isn't breaking any laws, because he has 1 legal wife, and then he has 3 what you will call spiritual wives. Now, these are consenting adults. The truth is, they can do whatever they want, regardless of what we think. But ask yourself a question. Can we really truly believe in a system, civil government, that is having trouble defining what morality is? I mean, if we are going to be a society that we're going to follow the law of Moses, the words that are written down by Christ himself, It's obvious that homosexuality, the LGBT community, is totally condemned. And according to this book right here, they are on their way to an eternal lake of fire. And you're not going to do anything about it, because once somebody is turned over to a reprobate mind, it's totally irrelevant, because what you say will not convince them. They are given over to do those things which are not convenient. But since I am a believer in the Bible, I do not sanction nor do I approve that lifestyle. But you don't see me going around chasing down homosexuals, people that are part of the gay, lesbian, transgender, homosexual society. You don't see me going over and oppressing them. You don't see me going over and protesting them, screaming, hollering, and shouting, because the truth is, you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if it makes you happy, pursue it. But that doesn't mean that I agree. Listen to me very carefully. It doesn't mean that I'm sanctioning it. But after all, I'm only one man, and I can only control what's in my spirit. But it's utterly amazing to me that in this country right here, that the Supreme Court can turn around and say that it is moral for a man to have another man as a wife, when by nature itself, they simply cannot produce. And a woman to have another woman as a husband, simply by nature in itself, they simply cannot produce, because a seed produces after its own kind. There's no way that I can actually let the laws of this land define for me what morality is, nor the religious institutions of this land define for me what morality is. I think I'll be better off sticking with the book, and then picking and choosing to live, pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness the way that I see fit, without their oversight. I think I'm pretty competent, and I don't think I'm illiterate whatsoever at all. As a matter of fact, I think I've done my due diligence over life to make sure that I become a very intelligent man. And I think that I can actually make sound choices, rational decisions, without the influence of people who have some type of altered mindset or conscience. But anyway, we're going to give press to this, because the mainstream news media is not going to, because it's something that the society rejects as a whole. Now, in the Bible, regardless whether you like it or not, the bottom line is all of the patriarchs, the majority of the patriarchs, they all had more than one wife. And polygyny was something that was common throughout society, all throughout the known world at that time, including today. European colonialism is only a fraction of the world, and that's it. But yet and still, they choose through their laws and policies to try to dominate every single society and to make a world the way that they see fit. Again, I have to stress this point right here. How in the world can we allow a so-called justice system that goes against my religious conviction and values, and especially what I can clearly read in their word, and they can sanction something that is clearly defined as an abomination, and then they're going to actually fight against and resist against someone, consenting adults, making their own choices and decisions in this life right here? I mean, after all, there are people that are practicing serial polygamy in this society today, whether we like it or not. How many times do you know a man has been married and divorced, married and divorced, married and divorced, married and divorced, and he still gets licenses to do this? But you know what? The one thing the system won't do, because a divorce is supposed to be a complete separation, a severance of every single thing. But you know one thing that the system will not do, though? They will not let that man go free. He is saddled with the responsibility, sometimes a spouse support, and he's also saddled with the responsibility of child support. So do you really truly believe, with their twisted, fork-tongued mindset, that they actually truly believe what they say? No, they actually believe that this man is still responsible for his children. Now, according to Hebraic law, ooh boy, man, we about to start something here. I know it, but see, again, we all carry around this Bible in this country called America, and we taught to be fundamental Bible-believing people. But on careful examination, truth is, people don't believe this Bible. The truth is that whenever a man has a child, the child belongs to the man, not the woman. And I know, I mean, you're going to fight on me, you're going to resist, but you won't study, see what that Bible says, but you will tell me what society says, thereby letting me know who is your God. Well, you're going to choose. You're going to make a choice and decision, because the way we've been reared, trained in this country right here is diametrically opposed to what that book says. And you're going to choose you this day whom you're going to serve. And many of you decided you're not going to make any choice or decision whatsoever at all. You're going to do what you want to do, and you're going to judge everybody with your irrational judgments, and you're going to force everybody as much as you can, even if you have to use the system. That includes lying, cheating, falsifying information, putting undue stress upon people's lives rather than letting them go free and be able to pick and choose who they're going to serve. It's amazing. Well, anyway, Sisters Wives polygamy lawsuit dismissed, may be appealed to Supreme Court. And RT reports, and it says, a lawsuit to decriminalize polygamy brought about by the family on the reality TV show Sister Wives was thrown out of the federal appeals court in Utah when a judge found neither Cody Brown nor his 4 wives had faced prosecution for their consensual relationship. In 2013, Cody Brown filed a lawsuit that sought to strike down parts of Utah's anti-polygamy laws. The language of the law prohibits cohabitation. Notice the language of the laws prohibit cohabitation. Now, wait a minute. Does anybody today in this society, are the jails full of people cohabitating? Because there are people out there that they don't have a marriage license. But you know what they do? They call themselves boyfriend and girlfriend. Some of them even have families. And you know what? I think that is really totally insanity today for this society, as hypocritical as American society, especially the religious people are, for them to turn around and say that it's not right for a man to have more than one wife. When, as long as it's not talked about, it's okay. But as soon as you start talking about it, that's when we come out and we start spawning and we give our personal opinion, but yet we say nothing to the woman who has had 4 or 5 children by 4 or 5 different men. We say nothing to the man that had a girlfriend over here and had 2 children, and has got another girlfriend over here and has a child, and another girl over here and has a child. And you know what? The majority of these women know exactly what's going on, what these men are doing. It's just that we choose to stick our hypocritical head down in the sand and ignore these. And as long as it's below the surface and conversation is not stimulated, I guess we assume that that's okay. I call it the heightened sense of hypocrisy. That's what I call it. Hope I'm stimulating thought. And then religious people who have defined morality by saying that only monogamy is promoted. Well, again, I read in the Bible, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. Let me name a few patriarchs according to this book right here that actually has more than one wife. Let's start with Abraham, Jacob, Moses, David, Solomon, and even God himself. Yeah, he had 2 wives. You need to go read in the Apocrypha. And also read it. More than anything, read it in the prophets. He had 2 wives. Sure did. And he said they were mine. And he even told King David, in 1 Samuel 12, I believe, that if you had wanted more, I would have given them to you. You mean David, who already had a total between wives and concubines, 18 total, and the creator of the universe said if you had wanted more, I would have given them to you? Whoo, that's amazing. But not only that, the prophets even speak about it in Isaiah 4. 7 women going to take a hold of one man. Call that polygyny. The king, Jesus Christ, even speaks in those terms. When he comes, he's coming for virgins. 5 are wise and 5 are foolish. Nevertheless, it's polygyny. Well, then you have your words that are mistranslated by the English translators because they want to put forth a certain agenda. Many times you see the word one, you assume that it means one, but you won't go look at the Greek rendering of the word, which is mia, which means first. But anyway, that's enough of biblical education. Let's go ahead and get on with the story here, all right? Because I'll go off and I will end up saying things. You're already mad. You're already upset. Your feelings and emotions are running crazy right now because let's just tell the truth. Galatians 4:16 says, have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And many of you would even judge God himself if he doesn't line up with your feelings and emotions. Well, anyway, I got distracted because, just the way it happens when I'm dealing with these issues right here. And let me add this, that Utah, nor does any of these so-called states in the union really truly wants this to go to the Supreme Court. And the reason why they don't want it to go to the Supreme Court is because they know that they don't have a leg to stand on. I mean, after all, if you can give men on men the right to marry, and it can be legal. Can you imagine the tax advantage that would happen to people that are in polygynous marriages? And make no mistake about it, that is the only reason why it is illegal in this country, because they don't want you declaring all these dependents being a burden on the country. Because after all, have you noticed that government doesn't produce anything, they only take? And why would they want to turn around? Here you are married to 4 women, 4 wives, and you have 18 children. Can you imagine how much in tax revenue that the government is going to have to owe you with that kind of dependency? Everything in this world, if you really truly want to know the truth, just follow the money trail. That's all there is to it. But anyway, in 2013, Cody Brown filed a lawsuit that sought to strike down parts of Utah anti-polygamy laws. The language of the laws prohibits cohabitation, people living together as married without a legal stamp of approval, which is how many polygamous families practice their lifestyle. Although Brown has 4 wives and 18 biological children, he is only married to one of his wives legally, and the others are all just spiritually married. That's his choice. He is not committing sin. As a matter of fact, all you evangelical and all you fundamental Bible-believing people out there, I hear all the noise. I hear all the arguments. I really, truly do. But can you show me in the Bible, anywhere in the law and the prophets, where polygamy is condemned as sin? I would like to see it. I haven't seen it. And I promise you, I have college professors calling me. I have theological seminary graduates call me for information about what the Bible says in almost every subject that you can imagine imaginable. And they all come to me. I don't go to them, they come to me. It's amazing, isn't it? Because I'm not about to toy around with truth. I'm going to tell it like it is, where it's popular or unpopular. But anyway, in 2014, Brown's lawsuit won him and his gaggle of wives. Now, why do we have to resort to disparaging comments? Okay, if these are gaggle of wives, then are the LGBT community a gaggle of jackals? I mean, are they? Are we going to start resorting to this? Why don't we just report it? I mean, just like it is. Let's just tell the truth and shame the devil. Monolygamy is a Greek, Roman, cultural, societal perspective and point of view. Monolygamy, neither polygyny, is condemned in the Bible, period. What you're doing is picking and choosing what you want. You don't have to participate. Nobody even charged you to participate. It's your life. Do what you want. But to turn around and get all mad and all in a rage and all incited because people choose to exercise their constitutional right to live the way they want, as long as they're not harming others, that's called bigot. That's what that's called to the highest degree. The right to cohabitate, although it was still legal to obtain marriage or multiple marriage license. However, the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals dismissed the lawsuit on Monday, citing the lack of evidence that the Browns were facing prosecution. The circuit court cited that the Utah County attorneys as proof of this. In 2011, a family member was under investigation by the lead police after the show hit the TV channel TLC. However, in 2012, the Utah County attorney testified under oath that he would not prosecute the Browns for polygamy unless they used it to commit other crimes such as abuse or fraud. And I'm going to define for you what those other crimes are. Meaning that if he chose to take one of these wives and go out and get another marriage license, you know what he just committed? Bigamy. That's what he just committed. He just committed bigamy, and he has sinned against the state, and the state will seek prosecution. That is what I'm trying to teach you people and tell you people what the problem is. I often said it once, and I said it 1,000 times, and people get mad and upset at me. They will say, well, what if a polygynous family wanted to come and be a part of your assembly, Pastor? Would you let them? Sure would. I would open my arms right on up to them. And I'm going to tell you something again. I didn't address it. I kind of skipped over it. I'm going to go back to it since it come back to my mind again. They're just like, people in religion who are hypocrites. The first thing that Christians would do is they would condemn the Catholics for drinking wine. They would condemn the Methodists for their beer drinking. And they would condemn the Presbyterians for their scotch drinking. All the while they have filthy lives and clean mouths. And the scripture does not condemn wine drinking. It condemns drunkenness. So go out and get your bottle of Merlot have a good time. Hallelujah. All right. 2011, a family was under investigation by the Lee Police Channel. We read that part right here. The Browns' polygamy, unless they used it to commit other crimes such as abuse or fraud. Polygamy has been prohibited by the federal law since 1852, but the Civil War got in the way of enforcing it, according to the Utah State's government history go-to online course. Polygamy was banned until 1879, when the Supreme Court upheld a morality anti-bigamy law in Reynolds versus United States. Notice, an anti-bigamy law. These people, whether you like it or not, even naturally, according to civil law, they have broken no laws. Why do you think that the courts is doing everything they can to try to stay away from this? And think for a second. Do you think that this family would be on reality TV receiving who knows how many thousands of dollars if there was something that the system could do against them? Members of one of the Browns' brood, a brood now. These words, these statements are something else. If it was monolygamy, it's his wife. It's his wife and like that. But if it's polygyny, all of a sudden he's a brood and grood and everything else. Just tell you, the mind manipulation, even with RT, is just simply amazing. Even though they're reporting, I do give them dibs for reporting on this and not being afraid of the truth and not run from it. Members of the Brown brood are planning their next move following the decision. Their lawyer, Jonathan Turley, released a statement explaining that the family will appeal the decision, although it is not clear to which judicial body. The Supreme Court remains an option. And you know what? They need to go to Supreme Court. But in order to go to Supreme Court, you're going to need money. That's right. And imagine, you're going to go to a bunch of justices whose morality is literally screwed up in the mind. Again, according to my opinion, and I base my opinions off of this and not your feelings and emotions. I can imagine. It's amazing. There was many polygynous marriages in the time of Christ when he was walking the face of planet Earth, and not one time did he ever give a scathing remark against it. Because if it was sin, would he not condemn it? Personal opinion, personal choices, hey, whatever you want to call it. I tell you what, somebody did write, a few comments down below, and I'll let you read them for themselves, because after all, they made a few comments, a few intelligent comments. Matter of fact, I'll read one from Mo Bear. It says, technically, if they are not legally married, it is not polygamy. You can't arrest a man for having a wife and a mistress. Well, Congress is full of that. It depends on, we have this hypocrisy in this country that as long as things, we may know about it, just don't talk about it, leave it under the rug, and then everything is fine. But when you start talking about it, then we start losing our mind. I tell you what. But you know what? I think today, when a man is actually seeking another wife or wives or concubines, I think that that's a very honorable man, according to what the book says, because he has to be responsible for those women. And I think that a woman, if she is seeking to actually be part of a family to where she is going to become a second or third wife, and we have to use that for clarity, I think that speaks also to the decline of males in this society. Because you think about this for a second. If a woman, which today they outnumber men, 3-1 in this world, 4-1? If a woman chooses to join up with a man, that means she has confidence, trust in that man, and that means the men that they were with were pieces of crap. For a woman to want to be and willing to be second or third, rather than being first in a trashy relationship where they receive abuse, neglect, and abandonment, I think people are waking up. But anyway, hey, I'm coming from a biblical perspective point of view. And by the way, preachers, teachers, no matter who you are, again, we can sit behind this all day long. I would rather have an open civil discussion and debate. Now, I'm not going to have open civil discussion and debates with people who do not have a church following, meaning many people following them. You're going to have to be a bishop or a college professor or a chaplain or someone that has, influence. Because if you are a preacher, that means people are listening to you and they're following you as you're following Christ, not these individual people. I don't have time for all that. Anyway, he goes on to say, you can't arrest a man for having a wife and a mistress, both of which he financially supports, or arrest a man for having kids from multiple partners. I don't believe in the term kids. They're children. A kid is a goat. But anyway, where we at? So technically, by definition, polygamy isn't possible in the U.S. That aside, I really don't care how a person chooses to structure their relationship preferences, so long as all involved are willfully a part of it. People can cite whatever morality they want. For over 9 out of 10 of our histories, as well as species, it was not only acceptable but necessary. Just because the modern religious groups don't agree doesn't mean they should have any right to impose their standards on others, though through the law. Separation of church and state, the very law is unconstitutional to begin with. And that is the truth. This man spoke the truth right here, and that's a very sound statement right there. But again, we're dealing with a world that they really truly don't care about truth. They really don't. They don't care about it at all. All they care about is feelings and emotions. And let me say this again. Just because we're talking about this subject, if you choose as a grown, sound mind, consenting adult to participate in a biblical lifestyle of marriage, that's your choice, that's your decision. There's no sin in it. If you choose not to, that's your choice and that's your decision. But for one side to condemn another, a monogamous society to condemn a polygynous society, when in a Greek and Roman society it was okay for a man to have a wife, that gave him status, have a wife, but he could also have a boyfriend and a few mistresses as well. That was acceptable in Roman society. Can't you see the United States of America, we're following that way? Hook, line, and sinker. Anyway, hope I said something to stimulate thought. Well, I expect a firestorm behind this one. Hope y'all have a good day. You just heard the truth, and the truth straightway. Shalom.